In honor of International Executive Dysfunction Week, which is a thing I totally just made up, here are 10 things that I do to help me get to work. Number 1, the first thing is my to-do list. Wait, don't go. I can see that you're only interested in the exceptionally rare, so please consider this to-do list. Do not be fooled by its commonplace appearance. This is no ordinary to-do list. This is a magic to-do list. There's one very quick hack that I use to make this both useful and kind to me. See, the secret is that I write a very specific title on it, and the title says, if I had all the energy in the world for insert today's date. Now this is a very simple hack, but it's surprisingly effective because I'll go in and write everything that I want to do in a day and everything that I need to do in a day. And as the day progresses, I will cross off things that I finish. So far so good, but at the end of the day, I'll take a look at my list and I'll notice that there are things that I couldn't finish, and that's okay, because I don't have all the energy in the world. Therefore, I shouldn't be expected to finish all these things in one day. Now, this hack for treating myself kindly works wonders because it removes the stress of having to start to get to work when you think that you might not even finish in the first place, so why bother? Then I'll take that list and I'll scrunch it up and I'll throw it away and I'll start a new one the next day. I'll remember the tasks that are important, and sometimes the day's energy doesn't match the energy of certain tasks I have to do, so I'll leave those for later. But having to write a to-do list from scratch every day helps me with prioritizing, and that in turn helps me to get to work because I now know what it is that I have to do. Number 2, I have a daily routine for days when I have to get to work. I wake up, I walk the dog, I make breakfast, and then I sit down to work. And what I've done is I've trained my brain to understand that as soon as breakfast is over and I've put the dishes in the sink, it's time to sit down and get to work. I do this every day where I need to get work done, and I call this triggers. Since it's the same routine every day, my brain and my body are used to the motions. Get up, walk dog, have breakfast, put dishes away, sit ass down to get to work. And just try this for 3 weeks. If you're able to keep up the consistency, it's going to start working on its own. Just give it 3 weeks. Nothing else has worked so far, has it? You have nothing to lose. Number 3, there are times where you take a break between work sessions. You play a game, you grab lunch. These are absolutely necessary if you don't want to burn out. And you don't want to burn out. Shut up. No, you don't. The problem with these fun activities is that they tend to run a little long, and they cut into your work time, or they cut into the time that you need to go to sleep. And trust me, I know this because it happens to me a lot. So what I do is I'll schedule meetings in my calendar or in my head with myself, because what am I if not somebody who could have said all this in an email? It helps me to trick my brain into thinking there's somebody out there who might be disappointed if I'm late, and there's no better motivation than thinking somebody out there doesn't like me enough. Number 4, now having to be somewhere on time helps me practice my punctuality, and that in turn helps me understand how long things actually take. This is an easy trap to fall into because it's always like one more TikTok and I'll start getting ready. But that never works out, does it? See, by the time you tell yourself, I have time for one more TikTok, it's already late. It's time to quit the activity, clean up. Like, for example, in my case, if I am absorbed by FIFA and I need to go somewhere, then when I think just one more game, that's probably the time to quit. That's probably the time to cash in my rewards, open some packs, clean up. When this habit starts to gel, you'll find that you actually start getting ready without rushing and without stress. It's going to change your life. Number 5. I can't count the number of times I've had some good energy going, good momentum, good vibes, and even a good outlook on my mental health. Perfect conditions to get to work. And I sit down and I have to clean my desk a little. I have clutter from the day before. I have notebooks and a half glass of water that I didn't finish drinking, or all the cables that I pulled out to start making music. I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping at least your working area Declutter. I have a coffee table, which, to be quite honest with you, is a bit of a mess. But that one's allowed to be. I don't do much of anything productive in front of my TV, so I use that for, books or my video game controllers. But your desk, your working area, which, could be your couch, could be your bed even, should be decluttered. Remember, don't put it down, put it away. Number 6, we add a lot of friction to the task of getting ready for work by not having our tools out and ready for use. But in order to keep my area decluttered, like I just said, I have to put away my tools. If I'm making music, that's a lot of cables. If I'm making comics, that's my pens and my inks. And if I'm making these videos, it's a lot of cables and this fucking thing. That takes time and it's a lot of stuff. I've got cables coming out of the walls here. Well, that's how cables work, but that's not the point. The point is I use boxes to keep all these things together, and I've seen the term Doomboxes being used online to describe this. Now, Doomboxes are cluttered by their very nature, but it keeps the clutter contained in one small area. So the helpful thing about Doomboxes is that you take this one box out and you use everything inside it, throw it back into the box, and then put it neatly back into storage. The box itself doesn't have to be neat, but it fits right into the closet, so it doesn't bother you anymore. No clutter. Number 7, I do a lot of creative work that requires a lot of staring at the ceiling. But staring at the ceiling is boring, and it's very easy to fall into the trap of reaching for your cell phone after you've been doing that for 30 seconds. It's normal, it happens. So what you need to do in these cases is to keep your hands busy with menial brainless tasks. This means doing the dishes, making your bed, doing laundry, clean your bathroom, hell, clean your entire fridge. But do it being deliberate about the thing that you want to fix. What do I mean by this? Just think about it. Think about it while you're doing the dishes. Like, what is blocking me? What is the next chapter in my novel? What's the next scene in my script? What do I do next? Your hands are going to be busy, so doom scrolling is not an option. And this method will help you bring answers, or at least it'll help you figure out the right questions that you need to ask. Like, for example, in my case, when I was learning how to do music production, I remember asking myself questions like, what is the sound frequency of an electric guitar? And I remember being stumped by this and a bit blocked, and until I realized, and this is how stupid I am, this is on me, until I realized I could ask that very exact same question on YouTube and get an answer immediately from an expert. And once you start trying this technique and you get your answers, you'll realize that you're not lazy, you're not a procrastinator, you're just blocked because you didn't know how to do a thing and you didn't know how to ask. Number 8, make sure that you understand that doing work does not mean doing the core thing all of the time. You don't always have to be writing for you to be working on your novel, for example. A lot of us treat ourselves very rudely because we are not doing the thing that we're supposed to do when we in fact are working. You don't always have to be writing. You don't always have to be painting. You don't always have to be singing. Sometimes it's good to just watch a YouTube video on the thing that you want to do. Get a different perspective. Get somebody to tell you their experience trying to do the thing that you're trying to do. And that counts as work, and it's a small change, and it's just a perception change, but it's going to help you realize that you are in fact doing the thing that you want to work on, and it counts. And when you make that change in your mind and you look back, you'll be surprised at how much work you actually do. Number 9, listen, no man is an island as much as we'd like it to be so. We can't do all of this alone. You can have all the habits and structures that help you on your day-to-day as you want, but at the end of the day, you're probably gonna need somebody to help you. In the case of working or being productive, having somebody look at your work is invaluable. Someone to unblock your process by giving you a different perspective, an angle you hadn't thought of. So at number 9, call a friend. You're blocked, your project isn't going anywhere, you have a bug you have to work on. Call someone, explain the issue to them, use your voice. Externalizing these sort of problems to somebody else is going to shine a light on the problem, even if the other person is not an expert on the subject. That's what friends are for. And yes, I get it. It's terrifying to have somebody else look at an unfinished project of yours. But if you trust this person, if they're really a friend, they're not gonna bully you. You don't have to be embarrassed. People are mostly happy to help, unless you're one of those people who sends 15 voice notes in a row, in which case, shoo. Number 10, as procrastinators and lazy people, which we are not, but that's the story we keep telling ourselves, we put a lot of pressure on us for not being able to get to work. And I'll never be tired of saying this, but you cannot bully yourself into being productive. That's silly. To be better at being productive, to be better at working, you need to know when to stop. Just stop. Stopping is super important. See, people like us, we've been conditioned that we are slow and lazy and not very good workers. So we always think that there's something else that we could have done. So when we do finish something, the thing that you set out to do that day, our guilt kicks in. We gotta do more. Why aren't we doing more? We have time. Let's do more. But the truth is, you don't have to treat yourself like your own corporate CEO. Did you finish the work that you set out to do today? Go home, man. Rest. Use that time if you want to process what you just learned. Like, very basic. One of the things that you could have learned is, why did I finish early? Did I have a small burst of creativity? Was I better prepared? Did I schedule more time than I actually needed? And this is important time that you get to spend with yourself, drawing conclusions and learning from the experience. If you do end up picking another task from your task list, you run the risk of losing this feel-good feeling of finishing something. If you pick out another task from your task list, then you run the risk of losing this feel-good emotion that you just got from finishing something. And you start something that you might not even finish because you're tired, because there's not enough time in the day for two things. Any fool of a man knows this. So instead, my advice is to trigger your reward system. Anything that you set aside as a reward for finishing your task, well, it's time to let it rip, because you did the thing that you set out to do. That's a good job already. Learn from it, pick it up again tomorrow, reward yourself, relax, don't burn out. We need you. And that's it. Hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any other hacks that would help people like us. I love hearing from you. I'm gonna leave a video here about my morning routine and how these hacks help me get to work and how they integrate in my actual life if you want more detail into how this works. If you haven't subscribed already, I hope this video was useful enough for you to go like, oh wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about and he's super hot for a 45-year-old. And my God, the eloquence. And you can use that as a jumping off board to subscribe. Catch you next week.